streaming from Springfield, Missouri, Glad Tidings Assembly at 10:30 Central Time. We will be at Glad Tidings Assembly of God in Springfield, Missouri. They sent me a picture of the sign. My name's on the sign at the Glad Tidings, yes, and so that was cool. But we'll be there and live streaming, so you can watch the service live. Of course, we're recording it, so we'll rebroadcast some of the sermon probably and put it on the program on the Kevin Shorey Show. But it's AM Kevin time.
Yes, sir.
Time for the latest news. Time for all the latest gossip. No, we don't gossip around here, that's for sure. But we like to take current events as well. We're probably the only show that not only does current events, but events of the past.
That's right.
Because we love history. And so we talk about history, and so all that good stuff. And then wrap it up with a devotional and share. And so I've got something I wanted to share today. And, sometimes why we go through what we go through and why that out of our weakness, he is made strong. And so we're going to cover that just a little bit. And before we do, are we ready to delve into current events? You ready?
Sure.
This is why it was one of the longest weekends of my life.
Okay.
First of all, I go to visit family. That's always long. No. But that was fun. In Oklahoma.
Yes.
I was in Oklahoma City, and I was in Helena, Oklahoma.
Okay.
Yeah. That's where my other brother is incarcerated. And so we all went, my other brother from Oklahoma City, and we went and visited with his two sons and my niece. And so it was a fun deal. So that was cool, as fun as it can be, going to prison. But on the way back, turn on the news, London is being attacked again. I mean, England 3 times, terrorists 3 times in the past month have, on the one bridge, and then in Manchester, and then now on the London Bridge, and that whole, and I've been all over that area. Really, the 2 places I've been a lot in my life, London and Orlando, and this weekend, both of them hit. Orlando was just a disgruntled employee that shot up the place and killed 4 or 5 people, and maybe more, wounded a bunch before he was killed. And of course, London. And then on top of that, as I'm coming home from Oklahoma, an hour before I get home, boom, my back just starts this lower back pain right here on my right side.
Just instant.
Instant.
Yeah.
I know the pain from the left side because 3 times previous, years ago, I had a kidney stone in the left side. So this time it's on my right side. I'm like, can't be. I'm moving around, trying to drive, almost hitting cars, almost going off the road, and the pain gets worse and worse, like it's pounding. So when it starts pounding your back, it's a kidney stone.
Ugh.
So as soon as I called Cindy and said, meet me at the hospital, tell them, do the paperwork. I got to get right in because I need some pain meds right away because I know what this is. And sure enough, 3 millimeter kidney stone. Now, when you have a stone, it's not like a little pebble. Okay, it's not smooth at all. It's like a crystal. So it has points all over it. And so, so it's all flipping around inside of my kidney, And so they hooked me up on a thing they called the Dilaudid, I think is what it's called. And then I felt good. And then then they take the x-ray. They find out, once again, a kidney stone. So I go back 3 hours in the hospital.
Yeah.
This is a full weekend.
Yeah.
But my pain
It's
is
only
nothing.
Saturday, right?
This is all Saturday.
Yeah.
This is all in one day. And then I guess yesterday was the Orlando shooting. But, this whole weekend, just been horrible. So I'm thinking my kidney stone, my pain. Actually, the Lord healed me, and I passed it like the next day.
That's good.
That is a miracle, really, when you pass a stone, because it can be very painful going through the canal. Whew. Yeah. But it did without incident, and it's the 4th time that it has without much incident. So thanks be to God. And I didn't have to use any other kind of medicines. I don't like, filling my body with any kind of medicines, except for something natural like CLA. So when you weigh, it will be way lower. This is helping me lose weight. Now, it's not currently helping me because I'm out. Yes, we have to reorder April. Got to get our CLA today so we can weigh less. And so, but it really does. I'll talk about it more because I looked up some of the studies that Valerie Saxon had given me. And so, yes, I'm going to cover that at the end. But I want more current events. So it just seems like it's happening more and more. I mean, and then there's just maybe more proof that we need a ban, not only a travel ban, but then you think, well, a lot of this is homegrown. These are people that live inside the country already, so a travel ban may not, be the total cure.
The problem with that is there's 3 of those guys involved, or I think a lot of them were actually women, were from 3 of the countries that weren't on the ban list.
Oh.
So again, did you hear this weekend like how Kellyanne Conway's husband got in trouble, or
he tweeted that?
Yeah, because what he tweeted was what I've been saying, is that it should be what he originally said.
Yeah.
Not these certain picked out countries to see. It's okay.
He said a ban on Muslims.
It's what
he
a lot
was
of people,
going to do it no matter what.
It's what a lot of people criticize about the last president. It's that the last president would a lot of times start with a compromise. Mm-hmm. You can't start with a compromise. You have to start with a strong position and compromise to that position.
Come on now, preaching.
And so it's like the current president started with a compromise on this, but it's something that we really need to. We can't really compromise on this. At this point, that's
lives are at stake.
Yeah, that's one thing. The reason that England left the EU. And Brexit is because they didn't agree with free travel across European nations, especially if European nations are going to have so many Syrian refugees and open borders from the Middle East, which is so close to them. I mean, that's just, we can't die. We can be, all nice to but, these things, they're murderous, culture, and it's spreading around the world, and it can't happen anymore. It's not a
right. The politically correct is not going to work because they're not politically correct.
No.
They're not. They are not concerned about us. They are beheading Christians around the world. They are just plowing innocent people down. I have been in that same spot where all the pubs and all the I've been to pubs, but to eat, because there's some good British food out there, but the pubs and then the gardens where all the shops and the market is, it's a beautiful place. And for to just run through and stab people.
That's like let's say in the Second World War, Kevin, like let's say not everybody in Germany was a Nazi, but let's say there were Nazis let's say there were Germans that were fleeing Germany, and some of them were becoming neo-Nazis around the world. We wouldn't put up with that.
No.
But because it's a religion, we have to say no. It's nonsense. Yeah.
Let them practice their religion in their countries or whatever. I'm just, is my shirt dirty up there? But we really need to. There has to be stronger things happen. I just don't understand why we're taking such a lackadaisical stance on it. I don't know. Actually, it leads to my greedy of the day.
Yeah.
So maybe I should do that right now.
Okay.
I pick the greedy group of the day.
Okay.
Greedy group of the day, and they have their own theme song.
They do?
What would their theme song be, you think,
I don't
for
know.
greedy group of the day? For the greedy group of the day, the theme song would sound something like this. Are we ready? It's all about and of course, the love of money is the root of all evil. Yes. So it leads me to my greedy of the day. I think that the greedy group of the day would have to be the Saudis and those of these other countries that could invest all the money they're getting from us and around the world to stop terrorism. They really should. To me, that's a greedy group.
Yeah.
That have the potential to stop.
Yeah.
Because here's their mantra.
Yeah.
There are some good Muslims. Even the mayor of London. I'm a good Muslim. This is not what the Muslim religion really believes in.
Well, he can be a good guy all he wants, but
it's a lie.
To say all that, that's not.
Soldiers of Allah. Get the book. Find out it's a lie. It's a lie.
But see, this is what.
But
yeah, okay.
There are some nice people. There's people that don't want to be terrorists that are Muslims. I'll go with that.
Okay.
But the religion of Muslim is terrorist. But there are those that don't want terrorism. Fine. Then if they say that, then they should prove that their religion is not that way.
Yeah.
And put some money into helping the Saudis, the Iraqis, the Afghanistanian. All. The Kuwaitis? Didn't we save Kuwait?
Yeah, we did. And also, we saved Afghanistan against the Soviet Union. But anyway, to me it's crazy because this is what I said last week. and it's not the current administration. This has been going on for multiple administrations.
Right, exactly.
We have this weird relationship with the Saudis, and that is Mecca. That is not like they're not some moderate. In fact, they are this.
I know.
They're this kingship.
insane.
In fact, we went over there to affirm our relationship with Saudi Arabia, who is in conflict with Iran right now. Now, Iran is not a good regime either.
No.
However, they are moderately democratic. They do elect their people. So all I'm saying is I don't think we should be allies with any of them. But we've picked the wrong people to be allies with.
Well, I disagree in the fact that it's a good thing to be allies with them, as
Okay,
long
but,
as there is some stipulations on being allies. And
Well,
this should
they're
be
the
one
ones
of
that
them.
attacked us on 9/11, and we didn't change our relationship with them whatsoever. So that's obviously
Well,
not stipulations.
Then part of the greedy group of the day
Yeah.
would be our government as well, because it's all about oil, right?
Right.
That's why we're afraid to break up, relationships with them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's greed on both sides, but really, if they say it's true, and somebody needs to say this, and I guess they have been, but somebody needs to say it with a firm hand. Listen, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, you people who say that you're a peaceful religion,
Yeah. Yeah.
prove it. Do something to stop they could.
Yeah.
They have the power, they have the money, all the money in the world really right
Yeah.
now to do something.
Somebody added up how many troops, like the Iraqi army plus the Saudi army plus the Afghani army and all these, like how many troops that actually is of them. They're actual, not terrorists or any kind of insurgency group, but the actual government groups, troops essentially. And it's millions. And not only that, you hear people all the time, even Westerners that get converted to Islam, radical Islam, and go over to fight with ISIS. Where are the Muslims that are going over to fight against ISIS?
Right.
That's even more than money. That's what I would think, somebody who...
Well, they got all this money so they don't have to fight, but they could at least invest in, something
Yeah.
to help whatever. There's a will, there's a way. And so, if they really wanted to, they could do this. And so there's our greedy group of the day.
Problem is, you change the situation over there, just like you did in Egypt, where they had a revolution and they had elections, and then they elected the Muslim Brotherhood. So the problem is that these ideologies are so deep that I don't think it's necessarily just current regimes or anything like that.
I know.
So that's the problem.
So how's this ever going to end?
Jesus,
that's right. He's coming soon. Come on, yay! And he's going to come in the clouds on a white horse. Come on, and then all that's going to be over with. But Armageddon will be over. Speaking of oil, Exxon, I saw this pop out in the news, and Exxon was subpoenaed for back talking about global warming and saying that they were helping in some ways too, but then somebody from a New York legislature decided to try to sue Exxon for not doing all the regulations to help the global warming. Okay, so
wait, hold on. What?
They lost.
So what?
But what?
They were say what now?
They subpoenaed Exxon to try for statements that they had made that they were doing everything that they could, and they found some ways that they're not, and so it didn't work out. Exxon was not did not pay out any money for this bogus thing. But speaking of bogus, then I found by the help of April, NASA, their data backs the president's decision to pull out of the Paris Climate Agreement.
Oh God, Kevin, why
Just let me finish. Despite the politicized leaders claiming otherwise.
So they've said one thing for that, decades, and now you found one article that says what now?
Well, no, this is NASA. This is their article, because they have found out that
so NASA produces articles now.
They send out the news. Now, a NASA study showed that the Antarctic sheet ice was actually expanding, not disappearing. The accumulation began, so that that's at 2016, last year. Canadian Ice Service shows that the Greenland ice is nearing a record high, as a matter of fact, as the Arctic sea ice extends 300,000 square miles past its 2016 levels. So the fact that you say that the ice is disappearing, according to NASA and the Canadian Ice Service and the Greenland Ice Service, I guess there's a whole service of ice people. The ice people say fake news.
You done?
No, hold on. The research challenges the conclusions, including the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which says that Antarctica is losing land ice. But according to the analysis, there's been a net gain of 112 billion tons of ice for the past 10 years. It slowed 82 billion tons of ice from 2013 to 2008. So there is no such thing as man-made global warming, drastically melting ice in Antarctica.
That did not come
There you
from
go.
NASA. Whatever that is, that did not come from NASA. So wrong. Anyway, but that's
Oh,
your
so that's
propaganda
fake
of the
news?
day. But anyway, that's cool. Why do you keep hammering me with this?
I'm not. I'm just telling you the facts. You can
That's
have
that
your
did not
opinion,
come
but
from NASA.
when you get the opinion of NASA and the global
Wait
ice people,
no, Kevin, I've been telling you NASA stuff ever since we've been doing this show, and you don't believe every single time I've said NASA. This comes from some.
Well, they changed
this
their
is
mind.
Alex Jones, right? Kevin, oh my gosh.
no, it's not.
Do you know who? They're okay. Anyway, oh lordy.
well,
Can't we
they
just
can't
agree to
lie.
disagree?
They can't
This
lie.
is propaganda website. This
NASA
is not.
says
This
that
is not. No, they don't.
there's pictures.
Oh, there's pictures
of the
okay.
ice.
Okay. Well, why do you have to keep? Why do we? Can't we just disagree on this?
Because
I care about the Earth.
to
You
me,
don't. It's cool. It's
to me, here's the deal. We
so
take
carbon
care of
has
the
nothing to
environment.
do with
If-
pollution. It doesn't exist.
No, if we
It's
try to
fake,
take care of the
it's-
environment, well, there are pigs that are not taking care of the environment, and that needs to stop. But I think if we take care of our environment, that we do our best, that God takes care of this earth. There are cycles that He set in motion that I think we have nothing to do with. I don't think we're powerful enough to destroy it. It makes us like God. I don't think that's true.
We destroyed Eden.
No, that was it. We sinned.
This is also
And-
a sin.
Yeah. Well, it is a sin to not take care of the environment. I
Yeah.
agree. But are we destroying it? And is there a meltdown in the Antarctic? This article says no.
Yeah, according to Alex Jones, who literally believes in reptilian people that
He
control the
was-
world.
Well, probably there is.
Oh,
But
okay.
no, I don't know.
You don't know about that?
He's reporting NASA's reports.
No, Kevin, no.
Well, okay. You show me reports, and they seem bogus to me.
Oh.
Show me another report then that counters that's not happening in Antarctica, and then we'll talk.
I can't
Find
show
it.
you reports. I've showed you
Of course
report
you can't
after
because they
report.
don't exist. But anyway, how about them Predators? Tennessee Predators
Speaking of
are
ice.
winning the Stanley Cup. No, they're not. It's tied, right?
2-2.
But man, they just showed up and showed off last night.
Oh,
I thought it
man.
was amazing.
2 games in a row, 5-1 and then 4-1. And I tell you, we've outplayed them probably every game. I mean, maybe with the exception of game 2 where they had a flurry of goals. But
You could see we wore them out.
man,
It
that was
great.
and Pecorine is just
Huh.
a Finnish saber cat hero. I don't even know. He's incredible, Kevin.
It's
He's one of the
great.
greatest goalies.
Now they're going
and-
to Penguins land.
going to
Pennsylvania.
Pittsburgh, but for 1 game. But here's the deal:
Just one?
Yeah, it goes 1 game
One?
in Pittsburgh,
'Cause
then
they've
1 in
done 2 and
Nashville,
2.
and then
Yeah.
1 in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So even if we lose next game, we come back to Nashville, which we're 9-1 in the playoffs, and should be able to beat them in Nashville at least to force Game 7, and
So
then
if
Game
it's
7,
3-3,
Game 7 in Pittsburgh.
7 is the deciding winner, no
Yeah.
matter what. You
Yeah.
don't have to win by 2.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh wow.
yeah. So. Yeah, so it'll be in Pittsburgh, and that's winner take all, and I think that we can get them.
I think so. The momentum is there. It's just amazing.
So cool.
Also, same for the Golden State Warriors. They just dominate. Now they're going to Cleveland now.
Yes. Going to
Are you a Cleveland fan, or you don't care either?
No,
way?
I just hate Golden State.
Really.
Yeah, they're.
Hate is strong.
I hate them.
It's a strong dislike.
Yeah,
We
but they're
don't
not
say
people,
hate.
so.
Kevin Durant. I met his mom this year.
Yeah, he's. No, I don't like him.
He's the nicest guy. What do you mean?
I don't know if he is or not.
But LeBron is just it's weird.
But see,
You would go for the Cavaliers.
LeBron
over
is
the-
like a legend, but Kevin Durant's great. But Kevin Durant's never won a
And
championship,
Curry.
never beat LeBron. Curry's
But
a
they
gimmick.
will.
Curry is literally just jack it up from 50 feet. That's not basketball. They
He
stand
gets
out there and
them
shoot
three-
3-pointers. That's not basketball. That's no.
If you can do that, that is so basketball.
I hate
Not
it.
many people can do
The
that.
3-pointer didn't even exist until like 30 years ago.
The Curry and will you stop with the stuff? This is like your global warming thing. You gotta go back to past history. That's
Kevin,
not
I'm
even true
a
anymore.
traditionalist. I'm a defensive-minded sports
you
fan.
need to catch up to the change.
Threes, three every time.
Stay with
Lame.
current life. You know, things change after
And they're
30
cheaters.
years. 30 years ago, and you're still not over it?
Kevin
Come
Durant
on.
was up 3-1 on Golden State. He can't beat him, so you go and join him. That's like if Larry Bird would have went to the Pistons. That's like if Michael Jordan went to the Celtics. It's crazy.
There's no loyalty anymore in sports. Jerry Seinfeld said that we don't root for the person anymore. It's a shirt.
Yeah.
He goes, we root for the shirt.
But
So-
LeBron left and went to Miami. But Miami
came back.
wasn't the
Durant's
team.
gonna come back.
But see, Miami wasn't the team that beat him. And they weren't
Well, okay,
already
whatever
this
the
team who won
situation.
championships.
He had an opportunity to get a ring, and he's going to go for
Yeah,
it.
the
That's
cheap
all.
way.
Oh, come on.
Ugh.
He sees it as just good playing, good business. So Golden State probably going to take it because they seem unstoppable.
Well, last year they were up 2-0, and they were up 3-1, and
Really?
Cleveland beat them.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But they didn't have Durant.
They didn't have Durant,
So
so.
there you go. Okay, well, I guess it's time to go into history. Are we ready to go into history? Oh, no, I got some more current events.
Okay.
I like this. I saw that this happened during election time, and I don't know what happened of it. I haven't done a follow-up for it, but I like the premise anyway. Seattle, have you heard of this? Decided to have voting vouchers. You heard of this? So they send the voter 4 vouchers, $25 a piece, and you pick whatever candidate, and instead of them, going with the PAC and going with the taking money from lobbyists, whatever, they get it from voters.
Yeah, that's public financing of elections. It
What do you
probably
think
should
of
be
that?
probably should be national.
Isn't that pretty cool? What'd you
Yeah.
say? Yeah, it sounds like Seattle. But
Yeah, it probably should
that's-
be national. I mean,
isn't
we
that pretty
really
good
should
to send
have.
a voucher, and then
Yeah.
the voucher says, and the vouchers though would be probably sponsored by these same people, but at least the people get to pick, not the companies.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I like that. I don't know what became of it, but if it was used, but they passed it they tried to pass it in Seattle, and it should be nationwide. I like that idea.
All kinds. I think we need so many reforms
Voting
on our
vouchers.
election. We need
Voting
it to be a
vouchers,
national
voting
holiday.
vouchers. Bless you.
Excuse me. I think election day should be a national holiday. Everyone should be off work. It should
Yeah.
be something that they make it as easy as it can for every single person to vote, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good idea. Well, speaking of voting, they voted in the. Should we give away? We could give away something. What should we give away? What should we give away? How about let's give away. Let's give away. What was my? I had something I thought I was going to give away. Let's give away. Why don't we give away? I had one more book here, but I don't see what it is. I'll throw. Oh, here it is. Is this the one? No, that's mine. We had another book. Where did it go? Gosh. Did I put it? Oh, right there under my papers. Oh gosh. That's mine. But I want to give Noah Drake and the Dragon Killer. We got one more book left from Ben Russell. He signed it and everything. Get the signed book, and I'm going to throw in Soldiers of Allah with it. So you get 2 books. If you can tell me who we're going to talk about, who was the general and the leader of the Confederate Army in the Civil War.
Yes.
If you can name his name. Are we on? We got
Yeah,
people
we're on,
there?
we're on.
Who's there?
Oh, we got all kinds of people. We got.
By the way, I want to say, hey, Ron. Ron got my newest CD. Just got his check in the mail, and it's going to be an autographed, my brand new CD, Finishing Strong. Will be out here soon.
Yeah. We got a lady named Myrtle Pfister.
Hi, Myrtle.
Got,
Yes, Myrtle.
Don McClintock, Ron Page, talking about global warming.
That's
on
Ron.
here.
Ron just got the new
Ron's
CD.
also given us Quran quotes. It said, Quran 2:193 states that all Muslims must fight until there's no worship but that of Allah.
There you go.
Janice Cook.
Sounds peaceful to me.
PC over there, PC over there.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
Hi,
I got something
Janice.
you
Janice
might.
is coming
I
on
got
the
something
show.
you might like, Kevin.
Yes.
It's very interesting.
The first one. Make sure
okay,
we watch. You
I will,
get the new
I will.
books.
It'll
Okay.
show up in order. So, but I wanted to give them a little bit of time. That's why I want to bring this up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It used to be that the media was all centered around New York City, and there was a certain sort of liberalism in the media that was sort of New York centric based, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what the New York City is still like the greatest city in the world, that, you know, home of commerce and all that stuff. But so much of our social media and new economy and new technologies is based in San Francisco. So it's like the media is still left, but almost with some of this radical leftist stuff that's going on, especially with some of this crazy, like the transgender and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Think about it. It's not a New York media anymore. It's like a San Francisco-based media. And I was listening to this person who was talking about this, and they were saying that's where you see the shift as far as like the radical leftism within some of our, you know, discourse, public discourse. So that was really interesting how they were talking about that, how Silicon Valley has almost become the new...
It's always been interesting to me. Like, it seems that the radical left, those with liberal agendas and anti-Christian agendas, I say that, you know, that's more than liberal. I don't mind liberals when they're anti-God, anti-religious.
You get into like Marxist stuff and like, you know.
They all seem to be on the water. If you think about this, they're in the Bay Area. They're in Seattle, up there in the corner.
Yeah.
They're over there in Maine and Massachusetts, over on the end.
Yeah.
There. They're way down in Key West, down in the Florida.
Are they?
Yes. I've been to all these cities, and it seems like a lot of that comes from the four corners of the water. They're always on the water.
Interesting.
I don't know what that... There's no connection. I mean, I don't know.
It's almost like my brother says that the, like, you know, cities that are real hard and have like a real hard inner city are always in the Mississippi. So like Memphis, St. Louis, you know, New Orleans, those are some of the hardest, you know, of our cities, you know, kind of interesting.
But there ain't no messing around with Texas. Texas is probably the best. We had some folks visiting here from Carthage, Texas, some partners of our ministry here. Just for being from Texas, we need to. Do you have the Allah book? You have the Allah book. It's because they're partners. They have everything already. I'm gonna find something because you got to drive. Are you driving? Yes, you drive. Well, you can have another Allah book, but I will give you some music to. Here, I got a Dino CD. You like Dino piano? There you go. I'll get you some Dino. We'll give you some stuff to go. Just for being from Texas. Did we get anybody that got the Confederate general?
No.
Nobody wants the
Guess
book.
we're gonna have to move on.
I'll throw in a Dino CD for you too, if you can. How about that? Dino's hymns. They're drilling oil, and good. It's about time. Then they can overpower. Yeah.
Oil in Israel, in the God's home.
Well, as long as we need oil, just stop. Well, the thing is, Laura Black Wines is watching us today. She says she's enjoying the conversation. And Judith is waving at me. Oh, are you waving at me from? Yes. Yay. So anybody before, because we're about to discuss this great man.
Doesn't look like it.
Okay. Nobody going once, going twice. All right. Well, no mention. We gave him time, right?
Yeah, we gave him plenty of time.
All right. There you go. Well, the man is Robert E. Lee, and Robert E. Lee is getting bad press lately, but we want to restore some confidence into history. Now, not every part of our American history is great. You know, there were mistakes that hopefully we don't make again. We haven't. We're, you know, hopefully we have, but hopefully we don't make again. And anyway, I preface that to say, tell me about the great man, Robert E. Lee.
That the world has ever seen. You and me got a whole lot of history.
All right, we got history, so let's talk history.
Well, you know, it's interesting, Kevin. I had heard over the years, you know, I'd heard things that were very positive about Robert E. Lee, that he was, you know, of course, was an incredible general, and even heard that he was an abolitionist, you know, but never
Lincoln
really,
had come to him, right?
Yeah, Lincoln wanted him to
Army.
be in the head of the Union Army, and but I never knew too much about who he was and his character and his life story and different things. But it's really interesting to learn this. So he came from a very, you know, we talked about it, the rich white Virginians, this incredible class of men who, you know, included the Washingtons, the Jeffersons, Monroe, Madison, all these people who were really of this high class in this, you know, southern yet centrally located colony, you know, became a state, became so important in the founding of our country. The Lees were one of these folks. Two of his uncles signed the Declaration of Independence, and his father was a soldier under Washington. So, you know, he was majorly involved in this time, and so his mother was really, his father actually had some hardships. Actually, ended up going to debtor's prison. They lost their home. So he was pretty much raised by his mother. And she taught him to serve God, and that duty, honor, and country were the highest principles that you could attain to. So their ancestral home was on the Potomac. It was called Stratford House. But they lost that when their father was a debtor, so they didn't live there anymore. So Lee went to West Point, and he was there with many of his Civil War contemporaries. But one thing that he didn't do is that even though they would always go out at night to the bars and kind of, he never did that. He would always keep his, he was very, had honor and just through every point in his life, he was a man of God, and we talk about the different faiths of our founders and different, but some of their faiths stick out more than others, and certainly with Robert E. Lee, this is something that I've found in my studies over the past few days of looking into him. He actually was one of the only people ever to never accumulate a single demerit at West Point. That's almost impossible. I mean, if your folds of your bed were wrong or anything, and he was just impeccable.
He took it seriously.
He certainly did. So he returned to Virginia, and he married the great-granddaughter of Martha Washington. And they lived at their home, which is Arlington National Cemetery.
Whoa.
And that was their home. They it wasn't a cemetery. We'll find out what happened to it and the reason it became that here shortly.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just their home. That's where he lived, especially after his ancestral home in the Potomac had gotten taken away.
Wow.
So he was there for a while. He ended up going back to West Point and becoming the superintendent. And, he was with a lot of his contemporaries in the Civil War when he was served at West Point, but definitely also when he was superintendent at West Point. I mean, a lot of the captains in the Civil War on both sides were under him at West Point, and he was their superintendent. He was their teacher. He was their, and so he taught a lot of these people, even who fought against him, the art of war and different things like that.
I heard nothing but respect from them, even during the war.
Absolutely. So his principles were these. He was opposed to slavery. He was strongly pro-union. But at the end of the day, he was more loyal to his country of Virginia. He said, I cannot raise my hand against my friends,
That's it.
my children, and my home.
That's the reason he chose that.
Yeah.
He would have
And
to
so
fight his own family and friends.
Right. And so they said that
Wow.
he was so loved in his home. Everyone who knew him, his children, he was very warm and inviting, but they said the night at Arlington when he was pacing back and forth trying to decide which side he would be on was almost like a death in the family. Wow. Can you imagine the history? I mean, we go to Arlington now, and he just pacing back and forth in that home, trying to, and so this is interesting. He resigned his post because he would have had to resign. He was already a Union soldier, and so he essentially saw it as, and I'm not sure what exactly, his thought of the future of the Union would be. I think that he thought that God would sort that out because he said things like the nation will have to pass through this terrible ordeal, essentially. So he looked at it as just another founding on the way to founding our nation,
which is what we see when we look back at history. It was inevitable. It's
inevitable.
coming.
Yeah. So this is really fascinating. I thought this was actually one thing I really admired about him. So at first, when he wasn't a general, obviously, at first. He was just a captain. And they called him the King of Spades. The reason they called him the King of Spades is because spades like a shovel, because he was the king. After he graduated West Point, he went to Army Corps of Engineers. So he was an engineer, and so he was brilliant at, just like what we were talking about, like with Grant's Canal and stuff.
The canal,
He was brilliant at that, to fortify area around Arlington, Virginia, around Richmond. And so, but I found that so admirable because it's like, fighting is poetic and fighting is romantic, but it's these little things, the preparation, the study, the knowledge that really win, And so when General Johnston of the Confederate Army was shot down, that was what appointed Lee to become general. And General Johnston himself, he didn't die, but he was shot down, and he said the North would rue that day that they made Lee the general.
Yeah.
So, it was interesting because he always believed that the North had not taken the South's grit seriously, their heart, their determination. However, he also knew that the South hadn't taken the numbers of the North seriously, the resources they had, that the sheer size.
Well, like the first battle, they brought lunch and the whole, and the women and the children came out and had a picnic, and I think it was Bull Run was the first. They say that the first skirmish, the first real conflict, the first battle, they brought the wagons out there, the horse and the buggies, and they brought a lunch to watch the little.
Right.
They didn't take anything seriously, I guess, at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they're watching people die in front of them. So.
And that was something that Lee really couldn't handle, is that the sheer carnage and bloodshed. It was just something that was just
horrible.
I mean, this was one of the bloodiest wars in our history. And so it's fascinating when he took over as general. It was one of the quickest, within 90 days or something. It was one of the quickest turnovers of turns of fate in a war anyone had ever seen. I mean, Union troops were in almost every Virginian city, and within 90 days, not only had he expelled all Union troops, but he was basically planning a siege on the North from the South. And so, he just was incredible. And whatever side he would be fighting on, had this the best general of the war. Grant had his moments, but Lee really was, as far as talent, yeah.
Well, it was touch and go in the first years of the battle. I mean,
absolutely. And so, but after Lee had been there for a while, they really were starting to gain an advantage. And one thing that really struck a blow to the South was when General Stonewall Jackson died, because this was Lee's right-hand man. And Lee was sort of like Washington in the sense that Lee was a great tactician, but he also knew where to put the right people in the right places. And Stonewall Jackson was absolutely the right person. He was a great tactician, and Lee would not interfere with him. There's this great picture that I have hanging up in my room, Kevin, of the old Tennessee Capitol and Stonewall Jackson riding through old Nashville, in the Civil War. It's just really cool. And
that man's an interesting study on it.
Yeah,
himself, too.
yeah, absolutely. So, but soon after Gettysburg, which pretty much was his greatest disappointment, Grant steps up, and it didn't change as much as it did for Lee, but Grant did do a lot of things to help the Union Army, and things, you could see things starting to shift. Essentially. So, at this point, Arlington, his home, had been confiscated by the Union and turned into a cemetery. And it's fascinating. They put the gravestones are so close to the home because the Union wanted that place to never be used as a home again. So that's why the gravestones are so close.
Is the home
to the
still
front.
there?
Yeah, it's still
Lee's home.
Yeah, it still stands. It's that colonnade house that sits on Arlington National Cemetery, right in front of everything.
And then they put Grant's tomb there.
That's right. Yeah, it's right outside of
another slap in the face.
Oh yeah, that was the whole thing.
It makes a lot of sense now historically.
So pretty soon after this, though, after Gettysburg, Grant and Lee started a correspondence, because you start correspondence to say, okay, how are we going to wrap this thing up? And they were cut off at Appomattox. It's amazing. Grant actually gave really no punishment. There was not a lot of punitive damages done to the Confederates. Basically, he
let them go home.
They were amicable. There are people. We want to get this country back together. So he was so Lee, when he left Appomattox, when he walked out of the steps, he was cheered by the Confederates and saluted by the Union soldiers. Wow. And so both sides respecting him. After the war, Lee became president of Washington College in Lexington, Virginia. And basically one of the things he said to kind of wrap up his life is, I did only what my duty demanded. Yeah. And so it's fascinating, Kevin, because there's a lot of arguments now about, like, taking down, President Jackson's statue in New Orleans, or taking down General Lee's statue in New Orleans. And there was this really interesting picture that I saw on Twitter. It was like a meme of, in Iraq right now. Iraq is Babylon. Iraq is this, there's some incredible artwork from ancient times, and ISIS loves to destroy that. They blow up ancient artifacts and so there was this picture I saw on Twitter of like an ISIS person pushing over a statue of like a Babylonian king, and they juxtaposed that next to like a young hippie kid pushing over a statue of Robert E. Lee. And it's like that to me. It is somewhat of the same thing. It's erasing our history and trying to get rid of. I mean,
To me,
you
it's a
know,
landmark. It's a thing to say, we'll never be this way again.
Right.
We'll never have another civil war. We'll never have slavery.
right.
And all these issues will be a non-issue. To me, it's a memorial or a landmark to all those things
Absolutely.
that people did not die in vain for.
Right.
You know, the Civil War was ridiculous, but
You know, symbols
it
are
was
one
for
thing,
a purpose.
but people are complex and dichotomous.
Yeah.
You know, and so especially generals, especially leaders, especially people who
Yeah.
were Americans once, became Americans again, and you know will always be part of our history. You know, so yeah, it's pretty disgusting trying to erase history, but you know, people want to. It's this moral high ground, this
Well,
sort of this.
it's false.
It's false because it's the idea that it's kind of like the idea of like you get kind of it's like feel good points out of I'm a good person because obviously slavery is wrong, so I'm going to go get
Well, yeah.
but Lee agreed with that. So
these are our own people.
Yeah.
Now, if we had statues of Hitler or Saddam Hussein, I mean, yeah, they got to go. But these are our people who
But
fought
you know
for
what
a
they have
cause.
done in Germany, Kevin?
What's that?
They actually have now obviously not statues of Hitler and stuff like that.
No.
But they have strategically in certain places there are still swastikas, and under every single one of them it talks about never forget.
Never
Always
forget.
remember
Yeah.
this, because
is
if we
horrible.
don't remember our past, we're doomed to repeat it, and so
It's true.
yeah.
No,
Absolutely.
I like that. And a good report on Robert E. Lee.
Yeah.
That was really
I really
good.
enjoyed learning about him.
Yes, and so we'll go to president number 17 tomorrow, right? Is it
Yes.
17? No, 18. No, 19. No, 19.
Yeah.
We covered Johnson and Grant, so tomorrow, Rutherford B. Hayes.
Hayes.
The B stands for,
I don't know.
look it up,
Beauregard or something.
Beauregard. I don't know. Let's go to the word. Before we go to the word, I want to make sure that we have the CLA. I was going to read the report on this. CLA stands for conjugated linoleic acid, and this is an all-natural group, all-natural, I don't know group, but an all-natural supplement that prevents, this stuff prevents a lot of stuff, but also the greatest side effect of it, you actually lose weight. I have gone past a plateau in my weight because of CLA. And it has helped me. Now, when I don't take it, I can tell, or when I don't take, I have a natural supplement I take for my blood sugar. But this actually has another side effect of keeping my blood sugar low. I went off on the weekend to Oklahoma and didn't take anything with me to fight my blood sugar. So when I had that kidney stone, my actual blood sugar was over 400. I'm like, okay, Kevin, make sure you keep the stuff with you
Yeah.
all the time. But conjugated linoleic acid, this arthrosclerosis, why do I even try?
Arthur Schlesinger.
It's a sclerosis.
Okay.
In your arteries, no blood clot, abnormal blood, takes away blood clotting, fights allergies, fights colon cancer, melanoma, prostate cancer. It's full of antioxidants. Fights my cholesterol is down, my blood sugar is down. I don't know about blood pressure, but I know those other two things are down. But this fights in the fight of diabetes, but it builds up your metabolism and does it. And I make all these claims because Dr. Valerie Saxon said that's all the claims, and this is all the claims from the study. So that's not my claims. That's what the doctor is saying. They will help you. Try it. You just might like it, and we will send it to you today. Got rid of the coffee, although I'm a little cold. I'd like to have a little cup of coffee to warm up today. Later on, I might have a cup. But as far as energy goes, I don't need the caffeine. I have essential energy. One thing that I had to cut down, they said the kidney stone's part of it. Do you drink sodas? That's what they always ask me. I'm like, once in a while, you gotta stop. So because when I'm driving, I either have coffee or some sort of soda that keeps me awake and alert, because I drove by myself. My wife had some stuff to do here, but her ministry stuff. So, but essential energy is the replace. Once again, I didn't take that on my trip, and I should have taken it on my trip. Don't drink the energy drinks. Don't drink the super carbonated, caffeinated sodas. I mean, they can't be good for your body, right? And so I'm addicted to sodas. I had to admit that a few years back. So I even say the word
brother.
soda, or I hear a I'm like, get me one. that's when I knew,
I know.
so I'm done really good because I don't drink that or coffee as much anymore. But this is a replacement. Whenever you take something away, replace it with something good. That's what I did. I replaced my, ice cream with, with yogurt stuff and yogurt and some honey. It's really good. And I've replaced my milk with almond milk or coconut milk. I've replaced my my breads with nothing. I don't need bread. I just do everything in lettuce or whatever. And these are the ways that you did. Did you tell me that you did a burrito thing? Are you the burrito lady? Okay, there's another lady from Texas that said she did nothing but bean and veggie burritos and lost 100 pounds. That's what she did for lunch. She would have, a light breakfast, light
100
supper.
pounds?
But for lunch, she had as many of those bean and, yes.
Wow.
Yes, I know. And so, but I'm talking about losing weight and having energy. This is a 1-2 punch, and it's yours, free shipping. Find out about it today. Go to kevinshorey.com or call me. Call me. 1-844, is that right?
Yeah.
47-KEVIN. I used to have a number here somewhere. All that's gone. 1-844-47-KEVIN. Call me and or write to P.O. Box 1122, Branson, Missouri, 65615. We are live streaming. We'll be in Springfield. So everybody watching do you have a number? Does your phone show you a number?
Last time I looked, it said 125.
Okay, so all you 125 people anywhere in the Ozarks, you come out to Glad Tidings. We are going to have a time. It's going to have some church. It's going to be great. And all of those have done the $1,000. We are putting together this is a mock-up of the plaque to get us out of debt, and we may have some good news this week. Let's hope so. We don't know for sure, but although they've stuck with me, there's almost 60 now, we say, of our family of friends. Other ministries call them partners. We call them our family of friends because we know all you, we love all you by name. And this month you're getting We Remember. This is the print of the wonderful creation by Tina Richards, who is one of our vendors here in Branson Mill. She put this together. She paints giant turkey feathers. She got a print, and she's also an artist. So she has not only done that, but she drew this. She is so much that the government has one of hers as a postage stamp.
Awesome.
In America. Yeah, but this is called We Remember. Our soldiers, there's 9/11, the flag, and the American eagle on the turkey feather. There is the gift of the month, along with a CD. We're going to send some of the guests that have been on our program, from James Payne to the Blue Trio to the Sound. All the different guests have been on our show. We're going to pick one and send a CD with the print that is yours. You don't have to ask for it. Every month, you get the gifts. You get gifts every month, right? You get every month. We send you a gift. You don't have to ask for it. You don't have to say. All you have to do is sign up, and it's $34 a month. That's $1 for every year I've been in ministry. Also, a brand new CD is out, where it will be next week. Get your pre-order in, so I will autograph the first 100. So please, if you want to hear the new songs, then call or write us today. That's my commercials of the day. That just keeps us on the air, online, and around the country. And we just pray that you'll be blessed today as you give and sow into good soil. Whenever a farmer finds good soil and they plant, man, they get so much back. And so we're reaping a great harvest. When we talk about England and the terrorism in England and the shooting in Orlando, guess where I want to be? I want to do these shows, but I want to take the cameras to those places. I want to minister to the people that their families will not have, their children will not come home this Christmas. The people that are killed and all these victims, there's a tragedy that's happening, and I don't think that Christianity gets enough press. And it's time for us to show that God's people do love in all these situations. And so that's where I want to be. That's our goal. That's where we're going to. That's what, I talk to businessmen. I talk to some people. We're trying to do everything we can. We've asked probably way too much because I hate asking people for money, but so we've asked about that. So I'm going to individuals that can help us, and they love our future goal, not only to do television, but to show reality. And by the way, we want to get on stations. We're working on stations that will be secular stations, not just on a Christian network. So we can tell people, it's the Kevin Shorey Show, the other show that we do, not this show, but we can tell people the real answer is Jesus. Give an invitation for people to find and pray with people that are hurting, but also they love our long-term goal to not only be on these secular stations, but to go into the markets and the places. I would have been in London in a heartbeat after this weekend. We'd have been on our way this weekend to see, the fallout and minister to victims and do. I know so many people over there, and so that's our goal. Join with us on that vision. Now, when you're going through a tough time, what do you do, man? Winston Churchill said, we're going through hell, keep on going. Don't stop. And you have to find evidence of people that have been through stuff. I mean, the Bible is full from Old and New Testament of people who have been through stuff and what they did to overcome. And I went to the New Testament because I think of Paul. Paul even says, lest I be exalted above, and this is 2 Corinthians, or as President Trump says, 2 Corinthians, lest I should be exalted above, 2 Corinthians, unless I be exalted above measure by the abundance of the revelation, a thorn in the flesh was given to me. A messenger of Satan came to buffet me, so that I not be exalted above measure, to keep me humbled, to keep me where I should be, to keep me in that state of, I lost my notes in the meantime, to keep me in the state of weakness. He's given this. But I pleaded with the Lord 3 times that it would leave me. And he said, but my grace is sufficient for you, and my strength is made perfect in your weakness. Therefore, most gladly, I will rather boast in my infirmities than the power of Christ may rest upon me. Therefore, I take pleasure in my infirmities, in reproaches, in needs, in persecution, in distress. I keep all these things for Christ's sake, because when I am weak, then he is strong. Now, is Paul saying that, he's a sadomasochist, he likes problems, he wants to always go through tough times? No, I don't pray for tough times. I don't pray for infirmity. I don't pray for persecution or distress. But weakness, someone said, is a showcase for God's power. It shows God off. For when you're weak, he will be strong. It shows us that in our humanity, in our everyday life, we have a need for God. And people that are going through stuff turn the other way a lot of times. But God is trying to say, when you go through these tough times, I want you to know that I'll be there. I want you to rely on me, to rely on the Holy Spirit, who's a comforter, to be there for you, that I'm not making you weak. Even ministers go through tough times. Being a minister, I can tell you, Exhibit A. But I found, instead of running away, because a lot of pastors, they go through so much stress, and pastors' families and ministers, and so they either resign and leave ministry, which is happening all the time, or they try to cover it up and they try to put on a good face, and eventually they're just going to explode. I mean, you can't only hold so many things. I've found out the best thing to do is share with others what's happening in my life, because it encourages somebody else that they're going through the same thing. If you try to hide it, if you try to sweep it under the carpet, no. The best thing to do is expose it to folks. But not all your deep, dark secrets. You know what I'm saying? Not your personal things. That's nobody's business. But I'm talking about if you're going through a tough time as a minister, the last thing you should do is try to hide it. Or, the best thing is find accountability. Share with the congregation. I share with the people. I tell maybe too much. I don't know. But I'm telling you the whole truth, When we had 2 stations that we had 3 stations that we had to cut. I said for a month, we're going to have to cut them.
Yeah.
We're going to have to cut them. Well, if we don't, we're going to have to cut them. And so we had to cut them because we didn't only go so far. And then so I get all these letters. Where are you at?
Yeah.
Why did you cut them? I told you I was going to have to cut them, So I don't know if sometimes people don't believe it, but that's beside the fact. The fact is that when you have things, you share. The Bible says to bear one another's burdens, and you can if you try to hide it. Paul is saying, hey, here's the apostle. Now, if I think that I'm greater than Paul the apostle, who wrote most of the New Testament, then I'm fooling myself. The fact is, if he had to go through stuff, if he had to say, I die daily to the flesh, I have to kill my flesh every day, how much more do I need to? How much more do we all need to? And so let us realize, let's get above that weakness, that infirmity, that problem, that distress, that persecution, whatever it is, and say, I'm above that. Why? Because Jesus did the ultimate. He took on all of this. Philippians 2 tells us that he emptied himself of himself so that he could die on the cross for our sins, for our sicknesses, for our problems. He triumphed over every weakness. So let's get above it and realize that what we're going through, Paul says, I asked for help 3 times and it didn't leave me. And the Lord gave me the word, my strength is made perfect in your weakness. Just, I want you to learn how to rely on me and not rely on being fully whole. Now, we don't really know. A lot of different theologians try to guesstimate what Paul's thorn in the flesh was. Some say it was a bunch of people that always persecuted him, because he mentions persecution. Some say it was a health problem. Others even say he was losing his eyesight, because one scripture said that he's writing large letters. But anyway, I don't believe that part. But whatever it was enough that it bothered him over and over again. But instead of letting it bother him and keep him from doing what he was called to do, he took that as a trophy and said, I've been poured out. When his life was over, he says, I've run the race, I've fought the good fight. He says, and I've poured out my life as a drink offering. This was like a sacrifice of that time. In other words, I become a sacrifice in my body. And that's what we should see. Everything that we go through, we're going to get to the other side. But the only way we can is not to give up. It's not to resign. It's not to blame God. It's to trust God and get through to the other side. If you agree, say amen. If you don't, it's too bad I'm right, because it's right there in the Bible and in 2 Corinthians chapter 12. And, Paul even goes on to say, I became a fool for boasting. Maybe he had some pride issues. Whatever it is, God is working those things. What did he say in Romans? All things, everybody say all are working together for our good. If you believe God has good in store for you, the best for you, then keep on trusting him. Don't give up on God. He did not give up on you. Anyway.
What t-shirt are you wearing today, Kev?
I'm wearing a great t-shirt. I haven't worn this one before.
Okay.
This is my Pledge Allegiance to the Cross.
Oh.
You want to lead the Pledge Allegiance to the Cross
Sure.
here? And then I'm going to pray, and then we'll go. We got time? I'm knocking everything over. How much do I have? I'll say a quick prayer. But read this. This is the t-shirt of the week. We have these t-shirts available. They're $20 normally, free shipping to you any size. But when I wear it during the week, and so I'm wearing this week, it's only $15. We knocked $5 off. What does it say?
To the cross of Christ Jesus, my allegiance I pledge.
Yes.
Bought by the blood of God's Lamb
Come
that was
on.
shed.
Yes.
And to the kingdom of God.
We got
in
30
which
seconds.
I belong.
Talk fast.
By faith with us, believers to freely stand strong. I pledge allegiance to the cross,
Yes.
my hand across my heart,
Yes.
and sing the anthem of my soul, my God, how great thou art. 1 Corinthians 1:18.
Come on, that's right. And so that's our Pledge Allegiance to the Cross. That's our t-shirt of the week. Lord, I thank you for all of our family of friends and those that are watching. I ask blessing with everyone in the sound of my voice in the studio and around the United States right now that is watching. I pray for the peace of Jerusalem. I pray for our country and our leaders. And most of all, I pray that we will fight the good fight until you return. In Jesus' name, amen. I hope you enjoyed it today. You're really going to enjoy the Kevin Shorey Show. At 2 o'clock, we tape it live. If you miss it live, you can always watch it on our Roku network, WGAN, which stands for We Got a Network, or KevinShorey.com, and all the other different social medias. You can watch us around the country every night at 7 p.m., but catch it live if you can. Prince Ivan, a worship contemporary Christian group, will be here live with us. We'll see you tomorrow on AM Kevin.